I'm Martha Chen, 78 years old. After my son died, my daughter-in-law Vanessa moved me into a luxury senior facility that turned out to be a nightmare care home where residents were neglected and abused. She was pocketing the difference between what I paid and the actual facility costs, over $8,000 monthly. Vanessa thought a frail old widow would be too weak to investigate. She forgot I'm a retired investigative journalist who exposed corruption for 5 decades. I went undercover in my own care home with hidden cameras, documented everything, and brought down an elder abuse empire that sent 12 people to prison, including my daughter-in-law. Subscribe now. Hit that notification bell for more revenge stories. My name is Martha Chen. I'm 78 years old, and 2 years ago, my beloved husband Daniel died at 81 after 56 years of marriage. Our son Marcus had died 5 years earlier from cancer, leaving behind his wife Vanessa and 2 teenage grandchildren I adored. When Daniel died, I was devastated and alone. Vanessa seemed concerned and caring. "Mom, you can't live alone anymore. Let me find you a wonderful senior living community where you'll be safe and happy." I trusted her completely. She was my daughter-in-law, my grandchildren's mother, my last connection to my son. Vanessa showed me brochures for Sunset Haven Senior Living, beautiful photos of elegant rooms, gourmet dining, activities, medical care. "It's top tier, Mom. $12,000 monthly, but you can afford it with your savings and Dad's life insurance." I agreed immediately. Vanessa handled everything: the contracts, the payments, the move. The reality was horrifying. Sunset Haven was a decrepit facility in a bad neighborhood. My room was tiny and dirty with broken furniture. The food was inedible, cold, spoiled, sometimes just crackers. Staff were negligent and sometimes cruel. Residents sat in soiled clothes for hours. Medical care was non-existent. People were dying from neglect. I called Vanessa crying. "This place is terrible." The brochure was completely false. She dismissed me. "You're just adjusting, Mom. Give it time. Everyone says it's wonderful." When I insisted on leaving, she said, "Mom, you signed a contract. Breaking it costs $50,000 in penalties. Just settle in." Something felt wrong. I'd been an investigative journalist for the Boston Globe for 48 years before retiring. I'd exposed political corruption, corporate fraud, organized crime. My instincts were screaming that Vanessa was lying. I got my laptop and started investigating. I discovered Sunset Haven's real cost: $4,000 monthly, not $12,000. Vanessa was charging me $12,000, paying the facility $4,000, and pocketing $8,000 monthly. Over the year I'd been there, she'd stolen $96,000 from me. But it was worse. Vanessa wasn't just stealing from me. She was part of a massive elder fraud network. She worked as a senior placement consultant and was placing wealthy elderly clients into terrible facilities while telling families they were luxury communities. She'd pocket the difference between what families paid and actual costs. She had 17 other victims across Massachusetts, stealing over $100,000 monthly total. The care home itself was criminal. Sunset Haven's owner, Richard Delacroix, was running multiple neglectful facilities while billing families for premium care. Residents were malnourished, over-medicated to keep them quiet, denied proper medical treatment. 3 residents had died from preventable conditions in the past year alone. I made a decision. I was 78 years old, but I was still an investigative journalist. I was going undercover in my own care home. I bought tiny hidden cameras and voice recorders online. I placed them throughout my room and common areas. Over 3 months, I documented everything: the spoiled food, the neglect, staff verbally abusing residents, medication errors, falsified medical records, residents crying for help that never came. I recorded Vanessa during her visits bragging to another staff member. "These old people don't know anything. I charge families premium rates, place them in cheap facilities, pocket the difference. They're too confused to figure it out. Martha pays $12,000 monthly for this dump that costs $4,000. Easy money." I contacted residents' families directly and discovered the same pattern. They thought their loved ones were in luxury facilities and were paying premium prices. None knew the truth about Sunset Haven's conditions. I gathered medical records showing preventable deaths. I documented Richard Delacroix's financial records showing he owned 6 similar facilities, all operating the same fraud scheme. I found evidence of Medicaid fraud, facilities billing government programs for services never provided. After 3 months, I had everything. I contacted my former editor at the Boston Globe. Tom, I've got the biggest elder abuse story of the decade, and I'm the victim and the investigator. The Globe ran my investigation as a front-page exposé with my byline. Undercover at 78, retired journalist exposes daughter-in-law's elder abuse empire. The story included my hidden camera footage, recordings, financial documents, everything. The response was immediate and massive. The Massachusetts Attorney General launched a criminal investigation. The state shut down all 6 of Richard Delacroix's facilities and relocated over 200 residents to legitimate care homes. Federal investigators joined because of the Medicaid fraud. Vanessa was arrested at her home. Police found records of 19 victims she'd defrauded, including me. She'd stolen over $1.2 million total over 3 years. Richard Delacroix was arrested along with 10 staff members who'd participated in the neglect and fraud. The trial happened 14 months later. I testified about everything: the false brochures, the appalling conditions, Vanessa's theft, the hidden camera investigation. I'm 78 years old. I'm a widow who lost her husband and her son. My daughter-in-law saw me as a cash machine to exploit. She thought my age made me helpless. She forgot I spent 48 years exposing criminals exactly like her. Vanessa's lawyer tried claiming I was mentally confused and unreliable. The prosecutor destroyed that argument by showing my meticulous investigation, detailed documentation, and journalistic expertise. Mrs. Chen conducted a 3-month undercover investigation that exposed a criminal enterprise affecting hundreds of victims. Does that sound confused to you? The jury convicted Vanessa on 19 counts of elder fraud, theft, and conspiracy. Richard Delacroix was convicted on 53 counts, including criminal neglect, fraud, and manslaughter for the preventable deaths. Staff members received various convictions for neglect and abuse. The judge sentenced Vanessa to 15 years in federal prison. Ms. Chen, you exploited your dead husband's mother for money while placing her in conditions of neglect and abuse. You betrayed family trust in the most despicable way. You stole from vulnerable elderly people and endangered their lives. 15 years. Richard Delacroix got 25 years for his role as the operation's mastermind. Other defendants received sentences ranging from 3 to 12 years. The court ordered full restitution. Vanessa had to repay every dollar she'd stolen from me and her other victims. Her house, cars, and assets were seized. She lost custody of my grandchildren, who now live with Daniel's brother and his wife. I moved into an actual luxury senior community, independently verified and thoroughly investigated by me personally before signing anything. I'm comfortable, safe, and surrounded by genuinely caring staff. I've also started a foundation called Seniors Undercover that trains elderly people to recognize elder abuse and fraud. I teach workshops on investigating care facilities, spotting financial exploitation, and documenting evidence. Age doesn't mean helpless, I tell audiences. I'm 78 and I took down a criminal empire. Your brain doesn't retire just because you're old. My investigation led to major reforms in Massachusetts senior care regulations. Facilities now face surprise inspections. Families have access to real-time monitoring, and there are severe criminal penalties for elder neglect. Vanessa is 3 years into her 15-year sentence. She's tried appealing twice. Both appeals were denied. She won't be released until she's 58, and she'll emerge with a felony record, no career, and children who want nothing to do with her. People ask if I feel guilty about sending my grandchildren's mother to prison. The answer is absolutely not. Vanessa exploited me, endangered my life, and stole from dozens of vulnerable elderly people. She deserves every single day of that sentence. I'm 78 years old. I'm a widow. I'm a retired investigative journalist. And I'm a woman who went undercover in her 70s to expose the criminals who preyed on people like me. Vanessa thought my age made me an easy target. She learned that investigative instincts last forever, and nobody investigates better than someone who's been doing it for 48 years. My son Marcus would be proud. The end.